This video isn't just going to show you how to install turn signal LEDs on your 2018 and newer Crosstrek, but it'll show you how to do it without the hyperflashing, and how cheap hardware can be more trouble than it's worth. So start by lifting up the rear hatch. We're going to take these bolt covers off and then loosen the bolts. With the two bolts removed, the taillight slides out backwards and slightly to the side away from the vehicle. There's going to be multiple sockets for lights in this housing. The turn signal is the lowest one. When you're pulling out your old bulb, it's good to wear gloves because one, you could get finger grease on the bulb, and if you end up having to use the bulb again, then the finger grease can damage it and cause it to burn out sooner. Also, if you squeeze too tightly, you could end up shattering the bulb, and if you're not wearing gloves at the time, you're going to wish you did. I know that from experience. Normally I wear rubber gloves, but it was really cold outside and I chose to wear something warmer, and the cold outside is actually what led eventually to the problem that we end up having later. So like a lot of newer cars, these Crosstreks don't have a flasher relay anymore. Their flashing is controlled by the computer, and the computer is just going to try to see if there's anything wrong with the signal. So you have to trick the computer into thinking that everything is normal by putting a resistor in parallel to the LED. By doing this, you end up with a circuit that has a similar resistance to a regular incandescent bulb, and that's really all you need to have the amperage show up correctly. Normally I like to cut these wires and solder the resistor in, but since it's so cold outside, soldering was going to be a pain, so I just used these connectors instead. Normally these connectors are supposed to be quick and easy, but I don't use them all the time, so I ended up not pushing them in all the way and had to diagnose my way to discovering that. So, zero it out. Got nothing there. 0.1 there. 0.1 there. It's like 2.1 at its highest. Alright, now we have continuity. What's our resistance? 6.1, that's what we're looking for. Maybe they just weren't pushed in all the way. There we go. That's more like it. I'm seeing 2.1 on there. So these things would just be in a pain. So the standard 6 ohm resistor works. Now I'm thinking I could probably do a 3 ohm resistor and not have to worry about doing any resistor up front, but then I'm running all the amperage through these rear wires and very little through the front. And the front's fine, but if I'm running too much amperage through these rear wires, they might cook. Once you've confirmed that your LED works the way it should, you can go ahead and start reassembling. But first, put your resistor in a spot where it's going to set up against the metal. These do get hot, but as a turn signal resistor, unless you're just sitting there with your hazards on for a long time, it's probably not going to get too hot. Still, it's good to put that resistor unit up against the metal of the body so that it acts like a heat sink for the resistor. Relative to the center of the car, I like to put this resistor on the outside side of the wire bundle. The inboard side doesn't have a whole lot of room for the resistor when you try to slide your taillight assembly back into place. Slide in your taillight housing so it lines up with those alignment pins and the ball socket pops into place. Then you can put your bolts in, followed by the covers for those bolts. I'm going to include some footage from the other side installation as well, just so you get some better angles and you can see everything from the other side as well. There isn't anything unique to this other side, but I did miss some footage on the first side, so here's your chance to see that. Well, that's annoying. I will include links to the tools and parts that I used in the description of this video. Just be aware that if you use a different brand of LED, that's fine, but if it has a significant difference in resistance, you may end up with different amperage, and you may need to use a different resistor to accommodate that. Alright, gonna cover that in electrical tape. Well, first I'm going to make sure it works, then I'm going to cover it in electrical tape. So it's looking good. I've never personally run into a situation where a 6 ohm resistor in parallel with the LED didn't fix the problem, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. Thanks for watching, consider subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next Car Simplified video. Alright, looks good.